Good morning, everybody. We've come to the very last video in our series, the Pastors Course. And this is video number 50. And the proposition for the video is come to an understanding of what are the expected features of the future of your church. Okay? Come to an understanding of what are the expected features of the future of your church. Now, you do not have to be a prophet to realize that some things and some developments are going to take place in your church in the next year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. We can expect, for example, people to grow older. Now, that may sound very obvious, but this is what happens. And when a pastor looks at the people of the church, their age groups, it can become obvious that the children are going to become teenagers. And the teenagers will become young adults. And the young adults will marry and have children. And they might move away for education or for work or for marriage. Those that stay will become parents of children growing up all the time, and they will be the backbone of the church for the next, 30 to 40 years. The middle-aged people will see their children growing up and leaving home, and often leaving the church to go to work or live in other places. The older people will find themselves back in smaller houses and sometimes living alone. They will decline in health sometimes. They will decline in energy, and they will eventually need to be cared for. Now, this is normal. It's life. It's no mystery. This is just how it's going to be. People get very upset when churches decline and even cease. They don't even have the same sadness about a family home that once was busy with the giggles of little ones, which is now empty and up for sale. No, they don't get sad. They realize that the children have just all grown up and moved out, and they've all got homes of their own. And now the sad old building that once was warm and full of fun and children's laughter is an empty house. However, there are some churches that constantly rebuild themselves from within. The parents bring their little ones to church, and they grow up to fill the nursery and then the Sunday school. They hopefully get saved and fill up the youth night and the Bible study group. They get a good education. They enter ministry in some manner linked to the church. Those that stay become the youth leaders of tomorrow, and they form the backbone of the church in the future. But sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes they get away from the Lord, and the pressures of life and the deceitfulness of riches smothers their spiritual life. However, many times we find them emerging later in life in village churches or in some mission work serving God in spite of the bumpy road that they have travelled. The really sad thing is when there comes division in a church, or scandal, or just a lack of leadership. Many young people, when they grow up, need challenging tasks to fulfill. They need an outlet for their energies and devotion, and the elders and deacons will need to be able to bring them in and develop them as much as possible. It's quite possible for a church to run programs and courses and fully develop the gifting that God has provided. But then another problem surfaces, the development of elders, whether they are evangelists or pastors and deacons. Often churches have elders in places for decades, and this can have an effect of a bottleneck for young people. Evangelists and pastors need to have discipleship groups to fill in for them as they're moving towards retirement. This does not mean that evangelists and pastors need to give up their role, but they need to be actively teaching and coaching the young leaders of tomorrow. Sometimes there can be a dearth over a church because of sins in private or a stranglehold on the church, but its leaders or the elder board on the pastors, there needs to be a constant refreshing of the spiritual experience of the believers to prevent stagnation. Now, these are the last questions. I trust that through this course you found these questions to be helpful and stirring and challenging. These last questions will be even more so. Let's go through them one by one. What are the features of the future of your church that you would like to see? What is it that you would like to see in the future of your church? The second question is, what is the age profile of your church at present? Okay, make a list of the church people and put against each person their age and make up a sort of a profile about the age of the church at present. Third question is, what will the church be like in 5 years' time, God willing? So those that are 16 are going to be 21. Those that are 6, okay, those that are 6, they're going to be 10. Those that are 60 will be 65. So you begin to think about how the churches are going to change. Those that are 30 will be 35. You know, what is the church going to be like in 5 years' time, God willing? God willing. What things could you do to bring about the sort of changes that you would like to see? What are the things that you could do now to avoid the sort of disasters that you hope would never happen? What are the dangers that you as a pastor faces? What are the dangers that you face? And lastly, how can you protect yourself from scandal in the future? Wow. Now, these are big questions, huge questions. They're the sort of questions that you could not only look at as a pastor, but you could look at these questions together as a whole church. Okay? And you could pray about it, and you could seek God, and you could make plans, and you could seek His will in matters, and together you might move forward for the Lord. Now, we trust that this pastor's course has been a blessing. It's 50 videos, which we're hoping to run in the Home Bible College year by year in terms of 50 weeks of one pastor's video every week. And we're hoping that as pastors go through this, they may not go through it one at a time. They may go through it every year, again and again and again. And there will be a constant refreshing, a constant re-examination, a constant self-examination, and a constant seeking after God and His will in our lives. So we wish you every blessing, and we look forward to speaking to you again. God bless you all. Bye for now.